Hey, Ruben.
I was trying to channel my inner Ruben. You caught me right in the middle of it.
Oh, I bet you were good at it.
I was just asking Jeff, I said if before we get started, if he just wants to tell us how he came to PCA, and then also just go over the guidelines for the audition, and then we'll get started.
Sure. So as I discussed a little bit with Ryan, my familiarity with PCA probably started 2 to 3 years ago. And I think that I first kind of stumbled across it. There was a TV show that they aired in Cleveland. It was a PCA coaching meeting that was with Terry Francona from the Indians and a couple other local coaches. And so I saw that and I ended up watching it, and it kind of caught my eye, and then went on the website and started following along a little bit. I told Ryan that I subscribed to the podcast, and I know that, and so started downloading some of the episodes off of that, and it was really kind of eating up the material. And then as time went on, just kind of every once in a while would check in on the website and looking for some different resources. And then about a couple of weeks ago, came across the trainer application, and really just kind of the more I've learned about PCA, the more I felt like it really meshed with my beliefs about coaching. And so thought I would take a shot at it.
That's awesome. All right. Sounds good. And do you remember? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Kelly.
I just wanted to go over the guidelines for the audition so that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
So what do you remember them to be?
I remember them to be somewhere between roughly 5 to 10 minutes, interactive, and sort of a topic of my choice.
That's great. Thank you. We go over those with people because sometimes we put those expectations out there and then they lecture at us for 10 minutes. So we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page before we get started.
Sure.
Yes, I think I am. I'm already recording. And yeah, whenever you're ready, you have 3 of us here.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to start with a children's book. And this book is called The Most Magnificent Thing. And it's a book that I like to read to my daughters, who, as I was telling Kelly, are 6 and 4. And what I like about it, and how it kind of ties into what I'm going to talk about today, is this idea of mindset. You see in this story, the main character, the girl here, she's setting out to build something magnificent. And at the beginning of the book, she's got this great attitude. She's experimenting, she's creating, she's adjusting, she's trying all these things. And she comes up with all these different creations. But somewhere along the way, she starts to get frustrated. And her frustration grows and grows and grows. And it finally boils over to the point where she says, I can't do it, I quit. And at that point, her trusty assistant, which is her dog, which you can see right here, and I don't know how recent the addition you sent me, Ruben, was, but I saw that you got a puppy now too. So the dog, luckily the dog is her best friend, says to her, why don't you go for a walk? So she goes and takes a walk, and she comes back from the walk, and she decides to take another stab at it. And she goes back and she sets back to work, and she starts to realize that, maybe if I take a little bit from this creation and a little bit from that creation, that I can end up making something that may not be perfect, but is magnificent in its own way. And what I really love about the story is I think it really illustrates, and what I'm going to start to talk about is the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset. And you see in the beginning of the book, she starts out with the growth mindset. She's trying all these different things. And then in the middle of the book, when she says, I quit, I can't do it, she really exhibits exactly what a fixed mindset would be. But then after taking some time, she comes back to it and returns to her growth mindset and eventually accomplishes her task. Now, you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with these terms. Actually, I think that Carol Dweck is actually at Stanford. I know you are, Ruben. But just so we're clear on the definitions, when we talk about a fixed mindset, what we're talking about is someone who believes that our traits are innate and therefore that they don't change. Whereas somebody with a growth mindset believes that skills and abilities can be developed and can change with time and experience. So what I'd like to ask you guys to do is maybe just to make sure that we're clear on this, take 30 seconds and jot down for your sport what might be one fixed mindset statement and one growth mindset statement.
Okay.
Good. All right, Kelly, you want to go ahead and maybe share the fixed mindset statement?
Sure. So I coach youth lacrosse, and the biggest statement I hear all the time is, I can't catch. I can't catch and I can't throw a ball.
Okay, great. And, Ruben?
I don't have a good jump serve.
Okay. All right. And Ryan, I'm guessing maybe yours is from baseball.
Good guess. If I don't get on base, I'm a big failure and I let my team down.
Okay. All right, good. And then a growth mindset statement. So maybe, Ryan, you want to go ahead with us since you're already up?
Sure. If I don't get on base, what did I learn from that at bat, and what can I tell my teammates who are coming up to the plate next?
Great. Ruben?
You're on mute, Ruben.
Thank you. With practice, my jump serve will get better.
Great. And Kelly?
I can't catch a ball yet.
Okay. All right. Well, so obviously we have a good understanding of this, but what I want to talk about is not just understanding it, but how can we instill this in our athletes? Because it's one thing for us to know it, but I think as coaches, one of our goals should be to instill this, because obviously it's going to serve well not just in athletics but beyond. So I'm going to go over a couple strategies that I think will help. And the first one is this. I would like you to think of a statement, and I'm not going to ask you to share it. Sports, it could be related to anything. I am not good at blank. Okay, so just maybe take 10 seconds and think of a statement or write down the one word that you would fill in the blank with. I'm not good at blank. Got something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, now what I'd like you to do, and if at the risk of giving away my answer, Kelly kind of stole my thunder. What I'd like you to think of is if an athlete came to you and said, I am not good at blank. For maybe in basketball, it might be, as a basketball coach, they might say to me, I'm not good at shooting. Okay. What is one word that you could add to repeat back to them, that you could add to the end of that statement to reframe it? And it's a 3-letter word that Kelly just gave. So Kelly, I'll let you give the answer.
I'll pretend I didn't say it. Could it be yet?
It could be. All right, great. Thank you.
Sorry.
So what I love about that is there's two things that I really like about it. One, it acknowledges the present reality. You know, one of the things that I find challenging as a dad is that when my 6-year-old, if we're doing homework or we're working, if we're shooting baskets in the driveway and she's struggling with something and she says, I'm just not good at this. You know, I have that intuition as a father. I want to say, oh, yes, you are. But maybe that's not the truth. And I don't want to be, one, I don't want to be dishonest with her. And two, even at 6, she can see through that. And she knows that maybe she's not good at it right now. So what I like about the use of the word yet is, one, it acknowledges the present reality while also suggesting that that present reality can change. So I would suggest that as coaches, we incorporate that word yet at the end of any fixed mindset statement that a player gives to us when we feed that back to them. A second strategy that I'd like to talk about is goal setting. You know, if you went to the library or you looked online, you could find 1,000 books on goal setting and just as many strategies. What I want to talk about in terms of mindset is, what type of goals are we setting? And I would suggest that to develop a growth mindset, we should be encouraging our athletes to set process goals as opposed to outcome goals. An outcome goal might be, I'm going to bat 300. I'm going to score 20 points a game. I'm going to score 3 goals today. A process goal is completely within our control and focuses on doing the right things regardless of the outcome. So just to make sure we have an understanding of that, let's take a few seconds now, and I'd like you to jot down a process goal that an athlete in your sport might come up with. All right, Ruben, go ahead if you're ready.
I came up with, I'll hit 10 extra jump serves before and after every practice.
Great. Kelly?
I said that in lacrosse, we call it 2 butts down. So you get your own butt low to the ground and you get your stick butt low to the ground when you go to pick up a ground ball. So I will keep both of my butts down when I run through a ground ball.
Okay, great. And Ryan?
Sure. I said, when I'm on the mound, I'll take 2 big, deep breaths to calm my body down before I throw any pitches.
Okay, great. So, and I think that if we encourage our athletes to focus on goal setting with the process in mind, it's going to give them a lot more control over that. And it's going to help them be able to focus on improvement in the process of getting better on a daily basis. So that would be a second strategy. The last strategy I want to talk about is how do we praise? And I think that we really need to focus on making sure that we're praising effort and not ability. It's really easy as a parent and as a coach or as a teacher to say to a student, your son or daughter, or a player, you are a great shooter. You're really talented. But when we do that, we're kind of feeding into that fixed mindset. What I would suggest instead is that we're praising effort. But I want to go one step further than that. Praising effort is good, but I want to think about how do we praise effort. So what I'd like you to think about is this. I want you to imagine that you're coaching in your sport and you're trying to teach one of your athletes a new skill. And let's say that everybody else on the team has mastered the skill. And you have this one athlete who is really struggling with it. And this athlete needs 6, 7, 8 extra times through, extra repetitions to get it. And they're standing there while their teammates are watching. But eventually they do get it. All right, so what I'd like you to do is imagine that circumstance. Take a few seconds and jot down what would be a more effective way of praising them than simply saying good effort.
I would say something like, I really love the way you're hustling.
Okay, great.
I love how you're not ready to give up.
And I would say I like how you're aggressively tossing the ball nice and high.
Great. And so I think that, it's important that we praise effort, but that we want to go beyond just generic praise. I think the idea that we're giving something specific, how you're tossing the ball nice and high, really gives them something to focus on and is much more meaningful praise than just saying good job, good try, whatever it may be. So as we kind of close, and we've talked about 3 different strategies, the use of the word yet, focusing on process goals instead of outcome goals, and praising effort rather than ability. And what I'd like you to do, the last thing I'd like you to ask you to do is this. I'd like you to close your eyes for just a second and think about something that you were not good at one time, but that because of a growth mindset and with hard work and effort, you became much better at. And as you think about that process, what is kind of the feeling or the emotion that comes to mind as you think about the work that you put in the improvement that you made? And whoever's got something to share can feel free to share.
I'll share. So we've had a guitar sitting around our house for about 2 years now, and nobody plays it. So about 6 months ago, I decided to pick it up and start watching YouTube and teach myself how to play guitar. And my fingers were in pain. It actually hurt me. And I didn't realize how painful playing a guitar was going to be. But over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks of just playing a little bit every time, I was able to play a couple songs, like a couple chords, and sing. And I didn't tell my family I was doing it. So it was kind of a surprise to them when like mom pulled out the guitar and started playing a little bit. And, it was definitely time. It was just putting time in and practicing and just teaching myself. And, it was really rewarding. But I think it was definitely probably the most recent thing that I've gotten better at that I've never been able to do.
That's great.
So I've over
Yeah.
the last couple of years gotten better at working with PowerPoint and creating PowerPoint, editing slides, inserting videos, changing photographs, changing color schemes, fonts, and putting in notes onto slides that help trainers. A few years ago, I couldn't do that at all, and now I have a certain level of proficiency. Feels good.
Yeah.
I would say I was at one point at a career crossroads and not really knowing which direction I wanted to go next. Came across this opportunity with PCA, and the philosophies and everything just really made me take an intrinsic look at myself and what my purpose is and why I'm here, and this organization really aligned. So it was a big move for me to join a company like PCA.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. And what I kind of pick up from all you guys is kind of a sense of pride, and that's kind of one of the feelings that comes to mind for me when I think about things that I've worked hard to get better at. And that to me really is what the growth mindset is all about. So as we conclude, I would challenge all of us to not only focus on having a growth mindset in our own lives, but also to work to instill that in the athletes that we work with, so that they know that with hard work and perseverance, that they can end up with something magnificent.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Okay, well, so thank you so much, Jeff. That was very enjoyable. And here's what we do next. We're going to excuse you from the hangout so that Kelly and Ryan and I can do a very quick debrief. And then if you have a few more minutes, I'm just going to call you on your phone and let you know where we go next. Okay.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Enjoy. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.
Kelly, you want to turn off record?
Sure. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, it's easy when you're not the one doing it.